In this video, we are going to explore more advanced scans of Nmap. In the previous video, we have discovered all the basic techniques, basic commands of Nmap scanning, but from now we are going into much deeper level of Nmap mastery. So Nmap is a versatile tool and it offers several scans types depending on what kind of information you need about your target. But don't worry, we are only going to go over some of them, as there are a lot of scans, lot of techniques, lot of commands, so we cannot go with all of them in one course. The interesting fact about these scans is that they don't necessarily give you different result every time. In many cases, using different scan types, they will give you the similar result. But what's interesting behind them is their working pattern. They work in a different way. To fully understand how this scan works, you will need some background knowledge of TCP and UDP. And if you haven't seen TCP and UDP video of this course, then you should check it out. So let's dive into different scan types. So first we have SYN-scan. It is most popular and widely used scan in Nmap. It works quickly, scans thousands of ports in a few seconds, especially on a network that aren't protected by firewalls. But the question is, how does they work? So SYN scans on a network performs only the first part of three-way handshake used in a normal TCP connection. It sends SYN packets to a targeted network. If the target responds with a SYN ACK, that means the port is open. If it sends a reset packet, that means the port is closed. And if there is no response from our target, that means the target ports are filtered, perhaps due to firewall or filtering devices. Since does not establish a full connection, they are much faster. However, these scans requires root privileges, because if we type these commands without the root privileges, we might come across with some errors. So let's do it practically on our terminal. So let's clear up our previous results here. And if we type without sudo privileges like nmap s capital small s, nmap dash small s capital S, and then the IP address of our metasploitable, that was 192.168.29.122. So surprisingly it worked, because in some cases these commands without sudo privileges won't work. So let me show you how you can give them sudo privileges as well. So just type sudo, then nmap, and the IP address of your target. So that was 192.168.29.122, and here you have to give the password of your Kali Linux, and as you can see, we have the result again in front of us. So when you run this, Nmap will give you a faster response showing the open ports and what services are running on these ports. This scan is efficient and leaves fewer traces behind compared to other scans. So another scan we can use is TCP connect scan. It performs using -ST flag, and unlike SYN scan, this establishes a full TCP connection, that is a full three-way handshake. Since it completes the connection, it does not require root privileges, as sometimes the SYN scan requires the root privileges. And the downside is, since it establishes a full connection, it is easier for the target machine to detect the scan. And this scan also tend to be a little slower compared to SYN scan because of the extra step in the handshake process. So let's try it practically. So if we type sudo, okay, we don't need the sudo privileges right here, so we will just type nmap and we will tab it. So we will just type st and hit enter here, and as you can see here, this scan took 1.02 seconds here, and the SYN scan took only 0.85 seconds here. So as you can see, the SYN scan is much faster than this one. So the result will look exactly same like SYN scan, but as I show you, it may took a longer time. Additionally, since it leaves more scan to be traced on the target system, it is less stealthy compared to SYN scan. Then we have UDP scan as well with the SU flag, and it is bit more niche and more commonly used as SYN scan, because UDP, that is the user datagram protocol, is slower and more challenging to scan. Many services use TCP, which is why Most people focus on scanning TCP ports. However, ignoring UDP services is a mistake. There are plenty of exploitable UDP services that you don't want to miss. This scan also requires you root privileges because UDP doesn't have the same connection mechanism as TCP. Scanning UDP ports can take a bit longer and be less reliable as well. So let's scan our Metasploit with the UDP as well. So we will again go back here using a arrow key and we will type SCU and hit enter, and as I told you, it might take a bit longer. As you can see in the previous scan it was within a second, and here it is taking a longer time. So let's sit back and wait. So as you can see, it has been a long time and this scan is taking a lot of time. So you can track its progress by hitting upper arrow key, and as you can see it's already been 12 minutes here and it is only 22% done. Let's hit upper arrow key again. Okay, so it is telling that 12 minutes are remaining. So yeah, as you can see, this scan can take up to 12 to 15 minutes and it is a much longer scan as compared to other scans, depending on how many ports you are scanning right now. So if you want to scan this, you can scan, or if you want to terminate this, you can just simply press Ctrl+C. But let's see what output it gives us. Since it's taking a lot of time to scan, just open another terminal and I have to show you something. You can type man nmap here to get a manual of Nmap. If you want to learn more about Nmap, you can scroll through whole manual. You can see a lot of option summary here. You can see more things that you couldn't manage to get if you only use nmap/help command. You can see everything in the detail. Every command has its description, how it is being used, why it is being used, what type of scan you can do in it, how it works, each and everything about it. You can see TCP ACK-scan here, that is used for firewall mapping, TCP window scan, that is another way to detect open ports, echo scan, and we have many more here as well. And here is a pro tip for you: to master Nmap, don't just focus on the help menu as I have told you right now. Instead, focus on this Nmap manual. Contains in-depth explanation of every option and scan type. It is basically a treasure trove of information, and over that time you will start to remember and internalize different commands, options, flags that are most useful to you. So keep this manual handy when you are unsure about something, and to quit this manual you just have to type Q and you are out of this manual. So let's see if our scan is done or not. So let's just change and press upper arrow key, and as you can see 50% of scan is being done. So I'm going to terminate this process right here because it's taking a lot of time. If you want to scan, do this scan, gather the information about the open ports and do explore more about it. So let's just Ctrl+C it and we have closed this process. So in this video we have covered all the different types of scan: TCP scan, UDP scan, SYN scan. Each scan has its own pros and cons, and choosing the right one depends on your personal preference or your personal goal. Nmap has many more scan types, so feel free to explore all of them and experiment with them. In the next video we will deep dive into more advanced concepts of Nmap. We will discover operating systems, version of services they are running on. So stay tuned, we will meet in the next lecture.